In Zoom, there is an annotate feature that I have found to be extremely helpful in teaching and during teaching. So in order to use it, the first thing that you have to do is make sure that you have it enabled in your settings for Zoom. This is not something that you can do through the app on Zoom. So if you have it on your desktop or you open it from your computer or your phone, you will not be able to do it there. You can see I've actually signed into conforzoom.org onto my computer, onto my web browser, and go to settings. And then in meeting settings, one of the options is in meeting basic. So when you select that, it gives you a variety of different options here. I could spend a long time on what every single one of these mean and the different ways to use them, and that's a conversation for another day. But you're looking for the one that says annotation. So just scroll down until you find that, and then make sure that you have it enabled, which means it's blue. Okay, when it's blue, that means it's turned on, it's enabled. I do not have either one of these boxes checked. If you did, the students would be able to save the screen and what you annotated on it. For a math class, that may be extremely helpful. That might be something you want to do. Or another class where you're working out something on the screen or demonstrating how to actually do a problem and you want them to be able to save it, that would be something that you'd probably want to select. I'm not showing them anything that I necessarily want them to be able to save, and so I do not have that selected. The other thing is you can select this box that says only the user who is sharing can annotate. If you select that box, primarily, of course, I as the instructor, I'm the one who is screen sharing, and it would not allow my students to be able to annotate on their screens, which I want them to do. And I'll give you an example of that in a second. So that's how you turn it on, and that's the first step for using it. Once you have it turned on and enabled, and you share a screen in Zoom, so I'm going to give you an example of something I would do with my students. You can see my Zoom settings are here. And so you have this option that gets added once you've enabled it that says annotate. And this allows you to do a variety of different things on your actual shared window that you have on Zoom. So for example, you can spotlight. Perhaps you're trying to show them something. It pulls you up just an arrow. And you can select and point to something, okay? And it will leave your name there. You can delete it if you did it by accident or put it in the wrong spot. And so this is a way that I like to engage my students. One of the conversations we have in one of our courses is math and the world around us, right? And how do we utilize that with children? So I would ask my students with this photo, for example, show me a place where you see math in this photo. And so perhaps I would have a student select over here and say, well, I see geometry here because there's a sphere, right? We see a globe there. So the beautiful thing about it is it selects their name, so you know who has participated and who's doing what. And where they're doing it on the screen. That eliminates the need for, if God forbid someone does something inappropriate, you immediately know who it is and you can remove them or disable their ability to annotate. If I, for example, wanting to draw something for the students, then I can select a shape. Who noticed these clouds, right? These clouds show us some math. We can count them. We can differentiate between the size and the shape of the clouds. There's some geometry there as well. Maybe I want to show them with my mouse just an arrow, and so then they would see just my pointer. Maybe I want to type, then it would open a type box and say math is everywhere. Where do you see it? Again, to prompt them and get them kind of back in focus of what we're doing and what the purpose of the activity is. So if you select that button on your settings that does not allow everyone to annotate, you will be the only one who's able to type, and that may be something that you want to use. Typically, I'm using this for engaging students in a variety of different ways, and so I want them also to be able to annotate on the screen and to be able to see kind of some of the different things that are happening. Highlight or spotlight gives you just a little spotlight, so you could say, guys, I want you to look over here. Do you see this right here? And it's just an additional kind of setting that, besides just your pointer, will give them, kind of attract their eye or draw their eye to what you're doing. So once you're finished, you can clear only your own drawings, you can clear other people's, or you can clear everything and start over. And it just takes everything away. So annotation is a really, really nice way to get students engaged in what you have happening on your screen, as well as to track who's actually engaged. So I know sometimes we don't want them to have their cameras on, or we don't require that. This will kind of let you know who's there. If you tell everybody, I want you to annotate on your screen right now, turn it on and start annotating, and they don't participate, then you know that they're not there, right? And you're not seeing them. Put a star by something you notice, or put a question mark if you have a question about something on the screen. They can actually generate a question mark and stamp it. So there's a lot of different ways to use it. I have found it to be very helpful and meaningful in working and engaging students on a Zoom call.